So, as evidenced by my hair, my morning has not been going according to plan. I totally forgot to create this link. So, I'll pause here kind of with a slow rolling start, just because those of you that have subscribed will probably get an email and you'll see this link because I was late getting it made. So, apologies for that. I don't really have a very good excuse. So yeah, today's a Monday, and in the last 8 weeks, Mondays have really sucked. I really have, as they would say in Office Space, a case of the Mondays. So that is kind of what's alive for me at the moment. I'm sort of tamping down the fact that I have a number of frustrating things to deal with in my day job. All things considered, they're not that huge, but enough that motivate me in interesting ways. So there's that. And I guess the other thing too is I guest hosted last night for the Do Nothing Project, and I always get a lot out of that. And it's also I think there were maybe close to 100 people for a guest host. That's really quite good. Usually there, for Jeff, there's 100+ people, each Sunday. So that was cool as well, and to kind of get feedback on that. So in my head, this idea of right laziness, which was the sort of topic and the guidance around that yesterday, I still kind of feel like that topic is so important that maybe I didn't get it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't get it right. Like, so I was contemplating what did I miss last night, and at the same time, I was also kind of backing off from being a little bit too introspective about the whole thing. So, so what I want to offer for today, well, we're about 2 minutes in, so I probably should. So I forgot to say who I was at the top and all that stuff. I'm not going to repeat it. So at this point, folks will probably know who I am. But yeah, so just a kind of a bare bones practice, really as a starting point for our something portion of the sit. So in the off chance this is the first time you've tuned in, well, you're probably tuning in after the fact, because I know there's only a couple people watching live. You may know this or you may not, but in the case that you don't, what we've been exploring are these almost sort of circuit training aspects of techniques. And so the Unified Mindfulness System gives you all of this sort of flexibility around looking at how we train the 3 core skills, which are concentration, clarity, and equanimity. So all the techniques that we're doing are really kind of pointing back at those skills, those 3 skills, as a way of looking at what mindfulness is the application of concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. Would be another sort of succinct way of talking about that. And so we can play with these minimal techniques in a way that they may not be like maximally training the skill every time we sit, regardless of what we do. When we just need to make enough effort to sit down, and then after that, doesn't matter. It's all decoration. It's all extra. So if you can just sit down, and as Brad Warner says, sit down, shut up, and that right there is a radical act. That's a benefit. And so part of the right laziness thing that I was remiss in not hitting is that maybe kind of trying to calibrate or tune what's enough, and yourself to the cushion, or getting yourself to the point of practicing is enough, and then whatever happens after that doesn't matter, because whatever happens is going to be training your 3 skills: the concentration, clarity, and equanimity piece. And that is why I like the skills take on the modern mindfulness movement that's offered by is that there's this way for you to really to tune into when to lay back and when to push forward or when to bear down, and it's available to you all in the same system. So what we'll look at for that something piece is just this razor thin technique of your options are so your options are to hear or sense the space around you. So I'm in a somewhat smallish room, and when I sit, and I can through sense, either through feel out or hear out, I have a sense of the room and the space around me. So I know that the walls are where they are, and I can kind of settle into that. It's maybe a little more of a difficult sense to sort of settle in on and note, but I think that it's available for some folks, and so that's one option. If that's not available to you, the gravity aspect or the weight of the body in the posture that you've chosen is another way, and that is I think reliably available for people. So what we'll look at, so the do something part is really just a bare bones one of those two things. So you're sensing the space around you, or you're feeling into and the sense of gravity in the seated posture, and you're just in contact with that. And so what does that mean, in contact with that? Okay, I don't mean it in a sort of mystical schmystical way, but you're using a noting technique to be able to sense and notice when you're paying attention to that and when you're not. In that noting technique, we notice the qualities that I'm talking about, soak the attention in, and then you can optionally label them. In this case, for this being a razor thin sort of thing, I would play with dropping the label. And so noting and labeling are a sort of combined and often conflated as the same thing, but noting practice can be done without a mental label. So I would invite you to play with that as an experimenting. If you don't like it, switch back to labeling, no problem, no big deal. And then we'll finish that last half with a do nothing practice. So and this will be like, this is sort of like punk rock compared to hardcore punk rock. Like, there's not, the contrast here, I should say, is small. So you may have a sense of a do nothing part, but we're trying to monitor one of those two aspects: the sense of the room around us, or the weight of the body in the seated posture. So I was killing time, and I think I've deferred enough time to the Reaper. All right, we have a bell. It's always nice. So I invite you to adopt a posture that helps you to be both relaxed and alert, upright, dignified, respectful. Strong back, soft front. Just check to see if there's any tension held in the body. Again, this is our first opportunity to operate from that no big deal stance. So if you find tension and the tension doesn't release, no big deal. Allowing it to be there is a radical act in and of itself. But you may find that when you notice the tension that is being held, or you notice it in a place, it sometimes will relax. And then a few deliberate calming breaths in through the nose, out through the nose. And seeing if we can extend that exhale. Slow and low is our tempo that we're going for, a la the Beastie Boys. Slow in through the nose, slowly out through the nose. And that allows us to breathe low into the lungs. And we've moved into the season of colds and congestion. So if your nose is plugged, you can mimic that slowing breath by pursing your lips and breathing in and out through the lips, almost like you're drawing in and out from a straw. And then letting that go. So, decision time. Which will you do? Sensing the space in the room around you, or being with the weighted gravity feeling of being in the posture? You go ahead and pick one. And that will be your focus range. So if you notice your attention is pulled away from that, offering a quantumous acknowledgement, a nod, and then bringing the attention back. No big deal. So, with any choice, you may have had regret about which one you chose. So, if you want, if you chose sensing the space around you, but you wish you had shifted to paying attention to the gravity of the body, feel free to switch it up. If not, stay the course with what you've chosen. Good. So now let's shift, and it won't be a big shift. Let's shift into doing nothing. We'll go ahead and drop the technique. And we're just going to let whatever happens happen. If you spontaneously notice that you're trying to direct or do another technique, just go ahead and see if you can let go of that. If that happens, say 2 or 3 times, just consider that part of the whatever that you're letting happen. I invite you to open them, reconnect with surroundings. Thank you so much for spending the last 20 plus minutes with me. And thank you for getting here to do a practice. That's all the effort we really need. Just enough effort to sit down, and everything else after that, it's judgment free. So I'm going to create the rest of the week's live streams as soon as we are done, so that they will be up and available, and it won't be a surprise to folks. So if you're tuning in after the fact, it sounds like a shameless plug. If you were looking for this video and you missed it, it might be because you haven't clicked on that bell icon. I think the bell icon will email you immediately when someone goes live. So, but it's not a big deal. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. So I will go ahead and create those so they'll be up and available for the rest of the week. And then there's a group of guides that we chop it up, I guess, as the kids say, on Sundays. And they were talking about whether or not I was going to do that, or asking about whether or not I was going to do this into January. And I think there's going to be a 10% happier challenge to start the new year. And so for sure, I'm looking at doing afternoon sits for that first 3 weeks of the new year. And then we'll play it by ear from there. So looks like it, but there's not a whole lot going on for me that messes with my morning schedule. So probably should work out. So thanks again for being part of today. And if I don't see you the rest of the week, hope you have a good week.